I'm feeling a little bit better today. I had such a frustrating appointment today with my doctor, my reproductive endocrinologist, and the plan I think is to try to find surgery, go through surgery, and then try a few rounds of IUIs, and then if that doesn't work, then go to IVF again. But it's really hard to find a surgeon. So the surgeon I kind of set my sights on is booked out for the next at least 6 months. So I'd have to go for someone else, but it feels kind of desperate, like kind of going for someone else that maybe it doesn't have any reviews or that I'm not super confident about. So I'm just tired. I'm frustrated, I'm sad, I'm just tired. So I've just been spending the afternoon researching doctors and calling and inquiring, and I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. But I need to figure it out. Time is just slipping through my fingers right now. One of the doctors was just saying that today, like, okay, well, like, you can't keep waiting, like, you need to come up with a plan, like, I guess because I haven't been doing IUI or IVF, but, you know, I really was hoping that with everything we're doing and so anyway, that's the plan now. That's the plan. So I guess it's good that we have a plan. I just need to be able to put it into motion. Hopefully I'll find a doctor. I thought I found my doctor, and I can't wait until January to get a consultation. My dream doctor for this, actually, I was put on a list to have a consultation at the end of 2028, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, the doctor I saw today was like, yeah, they probably will find endometriosis, because most of the time when there's unexplained infertility and we can't find anything, they will often find endometriosis. So I think I need to give up for today, move on. Making some bone broth, and gonna go get some sun now. Thank goodness for the sun and summer. Okay, let's try this. I'm not sure if the audio is going to be great, but I didn't bring my mic with me or anything, so that's what it's going to be now. If I find that it sucks, then next time I will bring my mic anyway or do this another way, but I thought I would try this out. So I'm feeling a little bit better today. Better. Yes, yesterday felt very, very heavy, and it's in moments like those where like I just break down, where I just realize how much chronic stress this whole fertility mess, how much chronic stress it puts on me, on my system, even when I'm not necessarily thinking about it all the time, because I'm trying not to, I'm trying to focus on my daily life and everything. The way that I crumble or react in certain moments of fertility stress makes me realize that it's like having a compound effect over time. Yeah, yesterday was really, really hard. And I was anticipating everything being hard. Like for a week, I was like, oh man, like I have this appointment with my doctor, and like it's always, I don't have a lot of access to him, obviously. I see him like every 3 to 4 months. It's really hard to get an appointment. And so far, like nothing really feels like it's moving forward. And now I had a lot kind of hinging on this appointment, a lot that I was going to ask him, a lot of tests I wanted to get done, which I'm going to talk about this, I think, at some other point, but in the Canadian healthcare system, it is not easy. And I know that if you come from the private healthcare world in the US, it might seem like, oh wow, it's amazing, it's free healthcare, but nothing is free, first of all, in this world. Everything comes at a cost. And in Canada, one of those costs is lack of access to a lot of care. Is part of the reason that I'm going to the US for my next steps. Because I cannot get that care here. I would not be able to get the laparoscopic surgery here. No way. Or if I could, I would still have to travel out of province. This is probably like the worst province for this in general. I could go into detail with that another day, but let's just say I live in a province that's known for being extremely corrupt. Oh, I don't think I can go through there. It's kind of weird, but anyway, I'm getting distracted because there's people around. But what was I saying? Anyway, I will go into detail with that on another day because it's kind of a big deal and I have a lot to say about it. And it's kind of stressful to talk about because I am kind of getting political in that way. But I have my opinions. I have my fucking opinions at this point. And very, very valid lived experience opinions about what it's like to live in this country, in this province, and the healthcare system. I digress. There are a lot of costs to the free healthcare system that equal lives, not just money. And I'm not saying that the private healthcare system is the solution either, or that is better. I'm just saying we always think the grass is greener on the other side. And there are costs to both systems. Money-wise, and logistics, and quality of life-wise. And also, I'm just going to put it out there, just because something is public does not mean it's, ooh, gross, oh my god, that's a mouse. I almost always find dead animals here. Another kind of fallacy, I'm just going to put it out there, but public does not necessarily mean that it's not a business. It is still a business. It is still a business. Anyway, so as I was saying, what was I saying? Where was I? I feel a little bit better today because I talked with my spouse yesterday and we just kind of agreed that we had to like move forward with certain things and have a plan. And to be honest, like it does really help to have a plan. In the last few months, we haven't had clear direction or a clear plan. And it kind of made every month kind of like full of hope that I would kind of try to suppress, and then full of, pain and grief every month when I realized it didn't work. And at this point, I try not to get my hopes up, but it's like, you do it anyway. You can't help it. And also, I don't realize that I have these like I guess, silent like benchmarks in my mind about when I should be getting pregnant. Again, they are not conscious really, but you know, I definitely knew since I had my miscarriage last year, I definitely was like, oh, I'll get pregnant before my birthday, my 38th birthday. I did not get pregnant. So that month was hard. It's like, oh, well, you know, before the end of the year. My birthday's in November. It's like, okay, well, before the end of the year. I did not get pregnant by the end of the year. And then it was kind of like, okay, well, by the time that I got pregnant last year, so that's around the end of April, I did not get pregnant by the end of April. And that was probably the hardest one for me. And ever since then, it's been hard. And now, of course, the next like silent benchmark in my mind is after around 14, 15 months of trying, which is what it took for us to get pregnant the first time. And that's coming up soon. So I know that even though I don't want to have that, I know it's there. It's there. It's there in my mind. I think I'm at the 13th month right now since the miscarriage. Anyway, so we came up with a plan with the doctor there too, even though I probably won't be working that much with the doctor because again, there's a lot of problems. But he agreed that it was a good idea to go to the US to get this laparoscopic surgery to rule out silent endometriosis. He said they probably will find some because you've been trying for so long and there's nothing that shows any problem. Everything looks perfect to them. So at this point, it's very likely that they will find some. So I guess that kind of like confirmed to me, I guess, that was a good thing to do, maybe because they are actually a very conservative clinic. So for them to be like, oh, you know, yeah, that's a good next step, was kind of like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not crazy for going this way. But after that also there's kind of like this push of like, okay, but like you need a boost, you need to try something. And they're not wrong. And I think that kind of is part of why I broke down yesterday. That feeling of like, I've been trying so much, but then being told kind of like, stop waiting, like you have to stop waiting. And the whole time thing is very stressful. Like I will have spent the whole last part of my 30s in this time crunch, like time warp nightmare of trying to slow down time and trying to catch up and make sure I don't hit 40, because 40 is this big looming dark age in the fertility world, even though your body doesn't work like that, not overnight, you know, but it's a big milestone. Milestone sounds positive, so I'm sure there's another word for that. 40 is like the big age when people are like, okay, things are going downhill, you know what I mean? And actually it's reflected in the care that like you'll find a lot of IVF clinics and stuff, for example, that they'll stop being as willing to work with you in your 40s, and also like the costs will be different. Like there's some of the most affordable clinics in the US, for example, they have like package deals for people who are under 40 and have good ovarian reserve. But as soon as you hit 40, you don't have those package deals anymore. It's all like per cycle pay. And of course, the older you are, the more cycles you need to get pregnant in the first place. So it's a lot more expensive as you get older. I'm going a little off track here. I know it's because I have so much to say about so many things. But thanks for being here with me if you're still here. So the plan is to get this surgery. And part of the reason I broke down yesterday is because I was finally feeling like, okay, we have this plan. I'm going to get this surgery. And I had found a couple doctors that I was choosing between. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to choose the one that is not a fertility specialist, but he seems to be like extremely experienced with excision only endometriosis surgery. And he's just very, very experienced. You can find him all over the internet. And so that really like reassures me that and by all over the internet, I mean like in the private Facebook groups and stuff for people who have endometriosis. He's vetted, you know, in the endometriosis community. So it really helps reassure me, because it's a very invasive surgery. It's invasive. It's invasive because you're literally yes, it's minimally invasive, like it's laparoscopy, but you're going around my reproductive organs. You know what I mean? Like one small move, one little nick, or one aggressive excision, and you can ruin my fertility. So I really, really want to trust who I'm working with. I'm not going to go back on the path here, I think, because there's too many people and I don't want to film people, you know. So I'm going to that's why I picked this path, because there's less people. So anyway, that's who I was excited to finally pick. And when I called, they're like, oh yeah, no, I don't know why they told you that, but no, like he's booked out for the next few months. So I was because in my mind we were like, okay, I'm going to do this surgery, and then I'm going to go, and in the surgery usually they flush out your tubes to check that they're nice and open and all that. So after that, I'm going to do a few IUIs, because I still have some covered IUIs in my province. So I would do a few IUIs, and then if I didn't get pregnant by a few IUIs, maybe like early next year when I'm 39, I would then go to IVF. That was the plan. That was the tentative plan. But then, of course, like I said, then I found out that I couldn't really do that plan like I thought, you know. Not to mention that this surgery is extremely expensive. So I don't even know how expensive yet. It's a little scary. Again, I'm not going to go there too much, but we totally have the capacity to do it here, but I will not be, I'm not a candidate for it in this province. And actually, just a little thing I'm going to say, like, to be a candidate, you need to be in debilitating pain. Like, you need to be basically on disability, and have established very aggressive, progressed disease, endometriosis, right? If you know anything about endometriosis, 10% of all women have it, and not necessarily all of them have symptoms, but it is not a good thing to have. It's an inflammatory whole body condition. It is not just related to your reproductive organs. So you can have it all over your body. But what I found out, actually, so I was like, okay, I get it. I'm not going to get that coverage. But what I found out was actually, because I met a woman who has this kind of endometriosis, you know, who is literally in debilitating pain. That's her main, like, she was dealing with infertility as well, but her main symptom, like, she was literally hospitalized for her pain. It got so severe, she would be vomiting. The pain was insane. And she has had trouble being taken seriously, which I found just absolutely horrendous and really upsetting to hear, because I would think that someone like that would and should be taken seriously. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, well, yeah, no, not only do you really have to advocate for yourself in any situation, but you can't really rely on the healthcare here. If you need more help, you can't just you can't delegate that responsibility onto any medical system. And I would say that for anywhere you are, but it's just very, very apparent, you know, especially when you go through these kinds of situations. Anyway, I don't know if I'm making sense with that, but I think I have a lot to say about these things. Maybe it'll come out in other videos, little by little trickle. But so anyway, yeah, so that plan kind of got deviated, and there was another surgeon there at that clinic, but I just looked him up and like I couldn't find anything really, and he wasn't specifically like, he just wasn't as specialized and highly skilled, it didn't seem, as this other surgeon. So I was just like, and again, that's when that fear came up of like, I am trusting you with this sacred special part of my body. I need to trust the person completely. And it's really reassuring to see other patients' testimonials and like their experiences. And I can't find any from this person. So I was like, no, I think it's better to wait for the other one, even if it's a little bit later and I have to change my plans. So we've decided that we're going to start moving forward with certain treatments again. I got this appointment with this doctor in December, which was the earliest I could get. I asked to be called if there were any cancellations, and within days we will travel to the US for a consultation. And in the meantime, I'm going to go get another saline infusion sonogram, which is a lovely, not lovely experience, but where they flush out your tubes. It's, I would say, anywhere from pretty uncomfortable to very painful, depending on if you have blockages or not. So, and I got that done already. I had that done almost 2 years ago, so I'm kind of due to do that again. It also kind of like improves your fertility for the next few months after, because basically you're like flushing out your tubes. So if there was any kind of debris or anything, it's gone for that period of time. But anyway, the reason I have to do that is because I want to do a few cycles of IUI, like I said, afterwards. So we will do that. I'm going to make an appointment now with another clinic that I really hate, and that's what's hard about this process, is like having to go back to places you had negative experiences at. But I'm going to go back to this clinic and have the saline infusion sonogram, and then schedule a few, hopefully two IUIs before Christmas. So the plan is, get my tubes flushed, get an IUI, then get another IUI. So do IUIs in the fall, I guess. Maybe even before the fall, who knows? And then if I'm still not pregnant, obviously get the surgery. I would probably get the surgery if I have my consultation in mid-December. I probably could get the surgery by the end of January, hopefully, maybe beginning of February. And then I guess recover, which I think can take, I don't know, some people say it takes, actual recovery from the surgery is just, I think, a few days. But in terms of recovering to be able to start trying again, it's 1 to 3 months from what I understand. So I will do that. And I guess by next spring, if I'm still not pregnant, then we will start IVF. So it's a lot. I feel absolutely freaking burnt out. And I'm just needing to remind myself, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And it does feel good to have a plan, though. So that I just know all I can do is focus on one day at a time, moving forward, 1 foot at a time, and take it day by day, but know that I have a plan, Having a plan helps, and I never would have thought that I was going to only start IVF, in my mid-39th year. But right now, that's the plan. I could go to IVF right away, too, but I just have this feeling that if it didn't work right now, I would always regret not knowing if I had endometriosis. So I think this is a good compromise. I'm hoping. And of course, when I get to IVF, if I have to get to that, I will not be doing it in Canada. So it's not covered anyway, so I'd have to pay out of pocket. But the care here for IVF is just different than in the US. And one of those differences is that they don't sedate you that much for the egg retrieval. And the egg retrieval I had, I guess 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? Anyway, something like that. About 2 years ago, the egg retrieval I had was absolutely traumatic. I was not anticipating that at all. But I was told after that 5 to 10% of people that anesthesia doesn't work on. Well, I was at 5 to 10%, and it was absolutely traumatizing. They had to ask for my consent to continue and had to kind of hold me down because I was shaking through the whole thing, and screaming and crying, and it was absolutely terrible. Anyway, that would not happen in the US. I've actually, like, that actually, when you tell that to people in the US, they're like, they're absolutely baffled, and they do see it as barbaric. But this is the way that egg retrievals are done in Canada and Europe. This is how they're done. And part of the reason, yes, anesthesia has risks, but part of the reason is actually just cost. Okay? So an anesthesiologist costs a lot of money. So you do not have an anesthesiologist on site for these procedures. In the US, you always do. And yes, I understand in the US, it's big business, but you have a nicer experience, that's for sure. So I've actually experienced the anesthesia that they use in the US for egg retrievals because I had it done for my endometrial biopsy, because I advocated for myself. At that point, I was like, fuck this, man. You go in blind. You're not told you're going to be in terrible pain. And by then I had kind of done my research and found out that endometrial biopsies are actually some of the most painful procedures that are done without anesthesia, and women are fucking traumatized by these procedures. I read stories where people were like, it happened 10 years ago to them, like 10 years ago for them, and they still were traumatized and had, I mean, think about it. Like, do you need more trauma around your vulva and your vagina? Most women don't need more trauma in that area. So yeah, anyway, I was like, no, man. So I advocated for myself. I was proud of myself for that. And I was able to get the endometrial biopsy done at a surgery center with anesthesia. So they don't put you under like general anesthesia, but they give you propofol, I think, which is what they use with also, what's the other thing they use again? Anyway, I'm forgetting. But there's two, oh my God, I don't know why I'm forgetting, because these drugs have been my name for the past couple of years. But basically there's one that like makes you kind of forget the experience, and there's one that is like an opiate, right? Fentanyl and Versed, there you go. Fentanyl is the opiate, and Versed makes you forget. That's what they used on my egg retrieval, fentanyl and Versed, and it did not work. And they could not give me more. I begged for more, and they said they could not give me more. I obviously did not forget the experience, and I obviously did not feel pain. But for the endometrial biopsy, they use fentanyl and Versed, but they also use propofol, which I hope I'm saying it properly. Propofol? Anyway, you'll probably know what I mean if you know how it's supposed to be said. But so you're not put under, you're not intubated, but I would not notice the difference between the two. It was amazing. I was so nervous because of the experience I had before with intravenous sedation that did not work. So I needed to be calmed down before. Like, I really was scared, but the anesthesiologist was amazing. And anesthesiologists in general are so amazing usually. Like, they're really good at making you feel like everything's under control and you're gonna be okay. So he really made me feel fine. He started it, and like next thing I knew, I was waking up. That was amazing. That's what I want with my sedation, you know? So I know that that's what they use for egg retrievals in the US. So, and I've already inquired with clinics, and yeah, they were like, no, like no one wakes up, like no one knows. I was like, oh, in Canada, you have to do it awake. They're like, what? Yeah, anyway. Again, they have to do it awake because if you don't have an anesthesiologist present, you have to have a responsive patient. Like, they need to be able to talk to you. And the thing is, though, that usually people are so out of it that they can barely respond. Like, they're like, which is not what happened for me. I was completely responsive, like completely there, you know? Which I just want to add on, there's something kind of creepy about it that I'm like, with the Versed, which is supposed to just like make you forget. Sometimes I wonder if like it's actually super painful, but the person like is so not there and they forget, so then they don't know. And I mean, you might be like, oh yeah, well, great. But at the same time, like, your body would remember in some way. So what if you have this like silent kind of trauma about it, you know, and then like you don't know where it comes from, but your body remembers, you know? Anyway, just a side note. This has been going on for a long time, but hopefully I will have said everything I wanted to say. Hopefully the sound won't be too terrible. I know there's a lot of wind right now. But anyway, that's the plan. I feel a little bit better. No longer crying. Not today. So that's the plan. And having a plan allows me to let go a little bit and just relax. Anyway, there's a lot of financial stress too this causes, so we might have to make some changes. But it feels good to have a plan. It feels good to have a plan. To feel like I will have no regrets, you know, that's the main thing. That's one thing I remember when I was first talking about doing IVF and all these things, and I was talking to my therapist, and she said the one thing she could say was that, there's that dead mouse again. The one thing she could say is that women at a certain age, when they get older, like, you don't want to wonder if you should have done something. Like, you don't want to have regrets. So that's my thing right now. So, you know, I'm like, I don't want to have regrets. And that's why I feel sometimes like there's a lot of pressure on like the decisions I make. Like, am I doing the right thing? Should I not be doing this? Should I be moving this? Should I be moving aggressively, quicker now? You know, weighing all the pros and cons to everything carefully, and then just trusting that you're doing the best that you can. And living your life the way it is now, you know, and just being grateful for the life that you have, where you are, with the people that you have. And letting go, when you say letting go is touching the possibility into reality that like this is as good as it gets too. Like, that this is, you know, what happens if I don't have a baby, if I don't have future babies. I still need to be okay with that. So it's hard, but like that's the process, you know, inviting in the possibility and working for it in the ways that you do by taking care of yourself, but then also accepting the possibilities of it not happening and the fact that like ultimately you don't have that much control over it. So that is where I'm at right now with that. Yeah, ultimately I have some control, and I'm going to take control of what I can take control of, which is taking care of myself and also moving things forward and taking the steps I need to take, because treatments and all that involves a lot of steps and a lot of active participation and steps and taking control and advocating for yourself and moving things along and pushing. So much pushing. I need to talk about that too, actually. I've been waiting on a freaking MRI for over 2 years. It's a joke at this point. It's a joke. I've had it sent in numerous times. I've gone in person. Man, anyway. I'm still waiting on my MRI. Probably will just end up needing to pay for it in the US instead. But also waiting, by the way, I was supposed to get a upper endoscopy of my esophagus. I will now be 3 years waiting, and I was told that I should expect to wait many years before I can get it. So you get the picture, like, unless you're knocking on death's door, and even then, good luck. So anyway, I've given up on that one, the upper endoscopy. I'm like, oh, maybe they'll call me one day, I don't know. So yeah, just focusing on the present is a constant challenge, because yeah, that's what's hard, is like being content and present and satisfied and happy and excited for your present life, while simultaneously hoping and yearning for something that is not there. You know what I mean? Like that you don't have much control over. Again, so if you're a person also who's always been like, I'm the kind of person who's always been like, if I want something, like, I'm gonna get it. Like, I can work for any goal. Like, if I have a goal, I'm gonna work for it, I'm gonna get it there. Fertility is not like that. And so for people like that, I think it's like a crushing reality to realize that you can't just work your way towards this goal like you can so many other things in life. So yeah, part of my goal right now is to be really like calm and diligent in implementing the plan, while also letting go of the outcome and focusing more, like I said, on my present reality with the people that I love. And hopefully like building in my life right now as I am too. Like, that's part of why I'm posting right now, is because there's so much of my life that's just like waiting and like waiting for this to happen. And I'm like, I just need to be in it right now. And I didn't necessarily want to share about fertility and stuff on my channel, but at the same time, like, that's where I'm at. And I know it's isolating and lonely for a lot of people out there dealing with it too. And this is what I have to share right now. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily what I wanted to, but it's what I have to share right now. So that's where I'm at. And I'm tired of being alone with it. So thank you for listening, if you've been here. And I'll see you soon.